Alright guys, we have got a bit of a project today. We are still waiting to take the KX500 to get some motor work done on the lower end rod bearings and perhaps some other things. But recently I was looking at a bike that the Kaplan team has done, and they basically put a 1993 rear fender on from a KX250 on the KX500, and it actually looked really good. And I've seen a couple other bikes do it, and I've got a full document that somebody created on one of the message boards that's also below right in the description. So it's going to be linked to a Google Drive where you can actually get the instructions of where I am cutting and what. Now I didn't create this, but it's pretty much what I'm going to follow in my printout sheets if you see me looking at a document. But why would you do this? Well, it's a little more of a sleek look. It's also angled up from what I can see. And it's gonna perhaps give it a little bit more of a modernized look. I've also got a tank that I'm gonna be sharing with y'all pretty soon, coming in from the folks out in Brazil. I believe the company is CE Moto from Marcelo, and I'll be sharing that. It's gonna be pretty awesome. I ordered it about 4 days ago, and it's already in the US. I think last I checked it was in like Tennessee. So it made it from Brazil to the US in like 2 days. So it definitely got on the plane fast. So I'm pretty excited. It's basically fashioned after the KX250 1989 tank. This is the Wardy tank that they did for 1 year. So we're gonna have that going on, and we're gonna hopefully get this fender on, and we're gonna get it lined up, and then we're gonna move the graphics over because I really do like these graphics. And I've got in another video the whole process of fixing and replacing this front brake where this little piston is constantly stuck. So, ooh, we got a drop. All right, we will get started, and I'll share what I removed all the bolts, and I'm pulling the front fender off first, rear fender off. First thing I noticed was, wow, that is not spray paint. That is literally splooge, a two-stroke technical term, just coming from the exhaust, and it's coming right there from that juncture where the silencer goes into the head pipe. And I need to either get some sort of a rubber pipe connector or seal it up with some high temp silicone. But that's one of the reasons I think this baby has a crank leak, because that's a huge amount of wow, yuckiness. Look at that. Jeez. So yeah, something's not right. But the good thing is, I'm hopeful once she's running right, it's going to be an absolute beast. So my next step is going to be to open up the bag and line up the two fenders. I've got the instructions on exactly where to start tracing out the cuts, but just to kind of lay these guys out so you can see, they are essentially the same size, although the newer 92, 93 KX250 fender is obviously not as long. It's much more streamlined. It's a beautiful fender. I gotta say, this is a UFO fender, and if you have an existing KX, this is a little different color than the probably exact color that came with the 92s. I'm not 100% sure. This is an original 97, or even a 90. This is an original 97 fender. I looked because I could see the markings. Pretty sure this is a little more of a fluorescent, kind of a higher, higher bright color. So anyways, they're very similar. Thankfully, they've got the same mounting generally here. It looks like this section, if you take a look, this section is going to have to come out at some point. A little bit of cutting there. Let me get around here so y'all can see. I've got it all from the documentation that I got from a board member that sent it to me. But you can see already, like, if we were going to make these exact, your pipe's going to have to come through here, and that's where all that spooge was. So this is going to have to cut in a little. You've got some material here, a little more. This is a little less. It looks like this needs to come in a little. And maybe this needs to be, that's probably okay. So yeah, we're gonna get started just kind of tracing it out. And again, you'll have all the specs on the tracing in the sheets that are in the Google Docs in the description. So you should be able to do that very easily, and then we'll start. Guys, a quick update. This is the worksheet printed out. I'm going to be referring more to it on my computer because it's a little hard to read. It's a little dark, but basically, to give credit, it looks like the person that came up with this, I cannot see their name. Let's see what it says here. Yeah, I don't have the name on here. It's probably in the original document, but this is the whole protocol of what to do. And so we're just gonna follow that, and then I will start. Oh, here it is, by this guy. So that's the person that did it. So definitely got to give them credit. What we've done is we've traced everything out according to the document and the layout. You can see here that obviously you've got the room for the exhaust coming in here, and this whole piece on the newer fender is going to have to go. A little bit of a trim here. I'm not 100% sure. It's probably just a difference in the size from this molded area. But that is the material that we're going to start off removing, and then we're going to see how it goes and how it starts to use a Dremel. And I'm probably not going to film that because I really want to make sure that I do a good job. But basically it's a Dremel with one of these, you know, very thin discs to basically cut through. And I'll try to go slow, try to not get ahead of myself, and then I'll smooth out any of the rough edges. And I'll show you all where we're at. We've gotten this piece off, and we have smoothed it out a little bit. In comparison, it's pretty similar. It looks like this part is just kind of gone, but you've got a good opening here. And let's lay it in there and see. So we've got a little bit of an issue, and I'm assuming that they sent me the right fender. It says 92 to 93 KX, so that should be correct. What I'm seeing here is these extra little tabs are not present on the original KX fender. So this extra bit of space is actually pushing out. So I'm gonna see if there's a way to get the heat gun and kind of push these in just a little, because it's not making it very easy to bolt in there. But after that, I mean, pretty much from where the bolt holes are, we should line up pretty good. We're just gonna have to figure out what to do with these little pieces that flare out because they're not here or not present. So according to the worksheets, the way to squeeze this in is to start on the right side and get this screw put in. The problem is that this fender, as I shared, has these little outcroppings that basically are about 1/2 inch each. So this fender is about an inch actually wider than these two posts here. I did use the heat gun a little to push these in, but it wasn't super successful. I didn't want to melt the fender, you know, on this side, but I did manage to squeeze it in a little. One of the things they say to do is to basically just now with this side bolted in, just really push it in and kind of taco the fender just a little. Let's see how it works. All right, so what I did was I had the left side, and even though the manual said do the right, you know, just get one side bolted in tight. That way it holds. And then basically from this side, literally bench press, push the fender so that you can kind of taco it, and then you get it on this side pretty good. Now the key thing to do, there is a hole here, but we're gonna have to align everything. And the one thing you'll notice, these may not fully align, so I may need to drill some more holes underneath the fender to get to these airbox bracket. But I'll get to that in a moment. Let me just try to get this lined up. We got the fender on. Let's look at the profile here. Looks pretty good. I ended up using the existing holes. So this would be the exact profile from the 92 to 93. Now I'm gonna work on the seat, but you can see it's definitely more aggressive, a little more modern. Actually do like it. Definitely still, you know, is big. It's long. It's got good coverage, just a little different. And the last thing to do here, I need to oval out these bolts and basically these holes and come in a little bit farther up and get up under and get to this bracket. But it is it's looking good. It looks really good. I'm very happy. Now I'm gonna get to the seat. All right, guys, so I decided to move the mounting holes just a little bit closer to the end. That's because when you put the seat on, you have a little bit of a gap, and I want it to fit really nice and, you know, not look cobbled together. So we're gonna go ahead and try it again with these new mounting holes that you can see are just a little bit closer to this ridge. All right, so we have moved the mounting holes a little bit closer into this ridge here. So this part of the subframe backs basically right up to there. The reason I used the other holes was because those were pre-drilled from the manufacturer. So I went in probably about a 1/4 of an inch, and now we're really tight. Also, the holes here line up really well, although I did oval them out a little bit so that I can get the bolts in there. So the next thing is the seat, and the seat looks actually really good the way it is, but if you notice in the instructions, they talk about a little ridge that you need to remove. I could force the seat down, but there's this little plastic, there's this little plastic ridge right here that we're gonna remove, and let me get out of the light. You can see that ridge is hitting up against this edge. It's also hitting up against this edge, and while it will still work, you can see it's kind of forced, and if we can get that out of there, that should let this lay flat against there and look pretty good. So let me go and start working. You're wondering what the ridge looks like. So you take off the 2 brackets on each side of the seat, and the ridge is really just that. It's just a little ridge, as you can see right there. I've already started kind of working with it and trying to get it out. So sorry for all the crazy camera stuff, but this is what it is. It's just a little piece of plastic that kind of comes down. Yours might be already cracked. We're just going to Dremel that out, flatten that area, and then put the brackets back in. So it is done. We got the fender on, and we trimmed these little extra pieces like I showed you, and it looks great. And just to give y'all kind of a view of that side profile, a little different than it was before, and it looks perfect. I mean, it's got a nice slope, just like a, you know, KX250, or lack of slope, just nice trajectory, I should say. And it looks good. It's still a very long fender. I mean, it's not small, but it looks great. Yeah, everything lines up. Once you get these tabs off, this lets the seat come down a little more. And also getting, you know, this as close as possible to here covers up some of this little gap, but it looks fantastic. I really like it. Changes the look of the KX, and of course with the smaller tank, we're gonna have a very, you know, sleeker looking bike. I'm not trying to make it completely modern, but just some touches. Now the last thing I have to do is just get some bolts and go up in here. And so once this is on, you've got this, you've got everything tight, and it is still a strong fender. I mean, it's very very rigid, very big. And the next thing I gotta figure out is, am I gonna put those graphics on? I really like the black Dunlop graphics that I have here. So I don't know if I'm gonna do that or not, the logo. I just have to kind of cut them and see, but I'm also kind of liking the just straight up green. It looks a little bit more, I don't know, just crisp and not as busy. So we'll see. I'm gonna figure it out. But yeah, that's it. And the instructions are down below. Let me know what you think. Do you like the old look better? Do you hate it? Do you think it's terrible to not be a KX 500 purist? You know, let me know. And I'll get a few more shots and angles here before I'm done. Guys, that is it. If you like the video, hit like and subscribe. The other cool thing is, if I ever want to go back to the old fender, it doesn't take me but about 5 minutes to change it out, and I can do that. All right, thanks for watching. Hit like and subscribe, and let me know what you think down below of the new fender.